You guys, we have hit 100 subscribers. What? Literally craziness. I remember, this is a true story, when I was in middle school, I was talking to this ex-friend of mine. We were toying with the idea of starting a YouTube channel. Obviously we didn't do it. We were just like fantasizing about like creating a YouTube channel, getting like subscribers and stuff. I literally remember saying, oh my god, imagine if we have 100 subscribers. And she was like freaking out. She was like, what, 100? That's so crazy. Back then in 2010 or whatever year it was, back when I was in middle school, 100 subscribers was the craziest thing. And I don't care if it's like not a big deal right now and like everybody gets like a million views. I don't care. I literally achieved something that middle school me thought it was crazy. I will forever be proud of that. To celebrate this really cool milestone, I decided to do a Q&A in my Instagram page, my poetry Instagram page, which you guys can follow here. I've asked my followers in my story to ask me some questions, so let's go. First question, who's your favorite writer? I really like this question because I have a really deep answer to this. During the summer vacation, when I was really into reading, especially reading poetry, I used to pick a poet, read the collection of that poet, and I would also read the biography, the whole idea that you need to read about the authors, where he came from, etc., to be able to appreciate his work. Now, I have done this with 3 poets so far. I've done it with Maya Angelou, Robert Frost, Shel Silverstein. Sometimes I feel like I'm not a good poet. I will have like imposter syndrome, so I will go back and read my favorite quotes from their biographies and their struggles, and I will feel like I'm not the only one. Like the greats have also been through this, like my heroes have been through this. Out of these 3, my favorite is Shel Silverstein. Was a very popular children author. He would write children poetry, but here's the thing, his poetry was so deep, but he disguised it in like children rhymes and children humor. I literally devoured all of his books and I fell in love with them. So surreal how someone had the reputation of being a children illustrator and a children author, but his poems, the deep ones, will literally make you think for days. Fun fact, he used to be a writer for Playboy magazine. Now, if you know anything about Playboy magazine, it is an adult magazine. It is like 18 plus. I like to think that he lived this double life. This man was very promiscuous. He was very sexually active. He literally, like, I remember in his biography, he used to go to nude beaches, but he was known to America as like, oh, Shel Silverstein, the uncle, the children poet. That's why I loved reading his biography. If you want to get into poetry, I recommend Shel Silverstein work, because not only it is simple, not only does it have rhymes, not only can you read it to your children, but it has so many deep layers and deep levels that I feel like it is underappreciated. Honorable mention, the person that got me into Silverstein was Bo Burnham. Now, I'm a big Bo Burnham fan. My favorite special of Bo Burnham is What? His first one. I remember literally watching that stand-up more than 1,000,000 times because I thought it was so crazy and so meta. Bo Burnham is an amazing like meta author and meta stand-up comedian, and Bo Burnham released a poetry book that was inspired by Shel Silverstein. So I was like, oh, if this guy inspired like one of my favorite stand-up comedians, I have to read him. And I have not regretted it. Silverstein became my favorite poet. Next question, why dark academia? What influenced you? The reason this person is asking this question, I believe, is because under all of my poems, I put the hashtag dark academia. Honestly, dark academia is my aesthetic. If I can like pick one aesthetic and just like live it, it will be dark academia. I'm a really big fan of like, for example, watching videos under the hashtag of Edinburgh or Birmingham, which are very beautiful Scottish cities, and they usually have like amazing architecture. I love autumn, winter. Those are my favorite seasons. I can put some of my dark academia outfits on the screen right now. It's literally a magical vibe that I wish I can live in forever. If people see me and they're like, oh, she dresses dark academia, like that's, I have done my goal. Next question, what makes you feel motivated? And before I answer, I have made a whole YouTube video about this. I'll put it here, and I basically say that the reason people are demotivated is because they're not really creating, they're living their life passively, not actively. So if you actually pick something up and start creating, and I literally gave so many examples. But for me specifically, the reason why I am so motivated, I have lived my life in survival mode. And so my default setting is survival mode, and that's why I am always motivated. What I mean by that is that I didn't really grow up in a privileged place. I didn't grow up with the best parents. I grew up in an abusive household. I grew up with a lot of bullies. So I was always at the edge, and I always had to survive. So like going to school like wasn't really a luxury. It was like survival mode. Getting the best grade, it wasn't something that I just like decided to do. It was something that if I didn't do, I would have been stuck where I was, and I would have been stuck in that abusive cycle. So the reason I am so motivated is because my brain tells me, if you don't get up, if you don't work, you're gonna get back to where you were. When you have financial freedom, when you have creative freedom, when you have intellectual freedom, people can't really use that against you. Somebody can't just like dangle something in front of you and be like, if you don't do this, I'm gonna take this away from you. So nothing you can take away from me is gonna like affect me. So I don't have to do anything that you say. So basically, this freedom is what motivates me. This idea that if I stop working, if I stop like grinding, I'm gonna go back to where I was, and I refuse to go back to where I was. I have to move forward. Also, another reason why I'm so motivated is I have to make my young self proud. Like I have to, like that is my mission in life, because if I don't, then all of her suffering was for nothing. Like that kid didn't cry every day, didn't get bullied every day, didn't get beaten every day just for me to be lazy. Like that's not fair for her. I am in a privileged position where I am an adult, and I have to make my own decisions, and I have to make the right decisions because she needs to be safe. So I always have younger me in the back of my head. Yeah, that's what motivates me. Next question. What inspires you to write your poems? I love people's like looks when I tell them. Everything. I cannot specify how much I get inspired by everything. And by that I mean nature, relationships, people, quotes, books, etc. This is why I like to describe my poetry as little nooks for characters, because basically in my imagination, my poems, right, in my feed, they are like little houses and little nooks for characters to live there forever. Now these characters, they came from everywhere in the world. Everything inspires me, and so I cannot like pinpoint it. I am just a creature of the word, and the word inspires me. What I receive, I let go. Are you planning on pursuing a PhD? That's a really cool question. Thank you for asking that. I love talking about my education. So I'm currently writing my thesis, which I'm really excited to finally present it so I can finally graduate from my master's. My thesis is actually, shocker, it's about literature, and I am gonna post it on my blog, so keep on the lookout for that. But about whether I will pursue PhD or not, here's the thing. I have been studying for 6+ years. I am up to here with it. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of studying. I love being intellectual and I love learning, but to be in a classroom and to do exams, like that whole like routine and cycle isn't really meant for me, or at least it's not nourishing my soul as it used to be. I did 1 year in biology college, and I hated it because not only were we studying everything in French, because my country is a francophone country, but we also were studying biology, which is something I'm not interested in. I'm not interested in science. I've always been interested in literature, in art. The reason why I went to biology school, it's also a long story, but it has to do with the abuse that I was talking about. It has to do with me not really be able to do what I wish to do. So anyways, after many fights and many perseverance, I could finally go to my dream university, which is English University. So I not only have I done 1 year of biology of studying, I have done 3 years bachelor degree of English studies, and I've done 2 years of master's specialty of English literature and American and British civilization. That's a lot of my life just goes to like studying and sitting in a classroom and doing exams. So do I really want to do all of that again and study and do this big exam to be a doctor? Would it be worth it? I'm sure it would. I'm kind of in the phase where I want to get out of that. I want to go, I want to explore, I want to see the world, I want to like perform my poetry, I want to publish my books, I want to work on my school. I'm in that phase of like, I want to go out there, I want to like practice, and I don't just want to sit in a classroom and like study, or just at home and study. With that being said, I am planning on it, but I don't think it's going to be in the near future. I don't think it's going to be right after I finish my master's. I think I'm going to dedicate some time for my work, for my craft, and one day I will do my PhD to be a doctor and a professor. What's your favorite book? I expected this one. My favorite book will and always will be, and I'm sorry that this is like a cliche answer from a literature student, but it is of course the marvelous, the amazing piece of art, 1984 by George Orwell. I have never read a piece of literature like this, and I will never will. George Orwell, even though I haven't studied him, I haven't studied his work, his life, I've only read 1984 and Animal Farm, which were the most popular. I fell in love immediately. And George Orwell was my favorite author for a really long time, until I read about self-esteem, and it's kind of taken his place, which is it's kind of like amazing and ironic how the greatest author of our generation, George Orwell, in my pedestal of writers, he got knocked off by a children storyteller. But this is what I mean by, it's not about like it's not really about the merits, it's not about the status, it's about how the author makes you feel and how engaged you are. And for me, self-esteem, I was not only infatuated by his story, but I was also like devouring his books. That doesn't take away credit from George Orwell. As I said, 1984 will forever be my favorite book. But since this is a bit too predictable, I'm gonna throw away an honorable mention. The recent book, or the recent series I should say, that I really fell in love with was the Cyrus Haven series. It's a thriller slash mystery series. We have a detective and he meets this young girl and he goes on adventures with her. The first book I lent it to my friend because she was like, oh, I want to read something, what should I read? And I was like, read this. Like, I literally shoved it in her face, and she texts me every day being like, this is the most amazing book I've read in a while. And I was like, of course. So believe me, if you're in a slump right now, if you're in a reader slump, you don't know what to read, pick up Good Girl Bad Girl, the Cyrus Haven series by Michael Rowbottom. It will literally make you fall in love with reading again. So this is the second book of the series, When She Was Good, and this is the third one, Lying Beside You. I don't know how the series keeps getting better. For me, my ultimate favorite is the second one. I literally couldn't put it down, but the first one and the third one are obviously also very good. And I have not read the fourth one because I do this classical thing. I don't want to finish a series because I don't want to like say goodbye to the characters. So I'm not ready to say goodbye to Cyrus and Evie, my two favorite characters in the entire world. I might make a video about it because I've never made like book reviews videos, so I might actually make a review on the series. Okay, the last question is, I really want to read some classics. Any advice? Honestly, my advice for reading classics is take it slow. Classics can be very overwhelming, right? So like I said, do my method of not only reading some of the poet's work, but also read his biography. When you read about the author, it will not only make you kind of see his life, see where he came from, but usually in biographies, especially about poets, they explain the poetry. So they say, oh, he wrote this piece when he was having this and when he was going through this. So they explain it to you. It's way better than reading a bunch of poetry and you don't understand what it really talking about. So yeah, just pick a biography of an author, read about his life, and while you're gonna read about his life, you're gonna stumble upon his work and you're gonna love it. Like I said, I recommend Shel Silverstein, even though he's not a classic, but he is a classic American figure. So yeah, he is a really good start if you want to get into poetry. I'm gonna stop the Q&A here. Thank you guys for the questions. Thank you for the 100 subscribers. Thank you for the followers on Instagram. I can't wait to, post so many more poetry, so many cool things, so many new vlogs. But anyways, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye!